Alright, this is Auto Rocket Racing 94 here, good old Luis Torres, as I'm actually known in real life. This is my early thoughts about these new Fox NASCAR TV graphics. And as you can see, it was a massive overhaul. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize that the audio in the background might be too loud, and there's really not much I can do because when I do all these TV graphic stuffs, like when I put them in actual episodic form, I use a different microphone, so it sounds more rich. In this one, you're gonna have to deal with it because this is live. This is pretty much raw and impromptu because I was not intending to do this until after my third episode of NASCAR Television Graphics comes out on the 17th, which focuses on TBS. As a matter of fact, I have the script already done. I have everything written. I even recorded everything. I just need to put the clips together and edit anything that I need to do so it sounds enriching, clean, and well put. So, be sure to tune in on the 17th. Okay, first and foremost, let me get this thing out of the way. First and foremost, as you see on this screen, there's generic numbers. That is not my biggest gripe. I'm not even complaining about it. I won't complain about number fonts whatsoever at all because at the very least, as I'll talk about when we get to the ticker, at the very least, it's consistent. There's no inaccurate ones. There's no flaws. There's nothing. Just basic generic numbers with a specific font. Like the good old days, like TBS, CBS, and vice versa. Alright, without further ado, let's get to it. So what I'm going to do, yes, I'm using paint.net. I'm going to do something with it because, like I said, this is impromptu. I wanted to capture everything right here and with these screenshots because, of course, with everything about YouTube clips these days, you got to do a precautionary measure. I don't have time to put an episodic format of this, so I'm just going to do my quick response. So as you see, like I said in the actual episode on Fox, the last one I made in December, I said, granted, what I saw from the NFL graphics, I knew it was going to be basic, plain, cheap Manila. Okay, not really cheap, but it's plain old Manila. And right off the bat, at the first day of practice for the Advanced Auto Parts Clash, won by Brad Keselowski, by the way, in case you haven't found out, it's exactly like what I thought. It's similar to the NFL coverage. You have a transparent gray box, the specific with the first name in regular form, and then the last name in bold. And yes, Darrell Waltrip has had gray hair. Yes. So let's get through it. Without further ado, let's move on to the next one. When it comes to like the pit reporters, it's the same thing. They just have a basic text, and then with the social media handles, as you see down below, a little bit more darker box. And of course, it has the Fox NASCAR logo, or in this case, FS1, because this was on FS1. Look at the back. Look at the back bumper of Martin Truex Jr. It says Speedway. It's kind of funny how they have different sides. Like, I know Brad Keselowski's car has a quote on the rear bumper. Eric Jones on the panel and on the side. It says "Take it easy." You cannot take it easy at Daytona. So right away, when it comes to information, they still have it. It's pretty straightforward. You have the name, the logo, and the stats, and all in bold format, and then of course the number font. Which, of course, the big criticism was the number fonts. I'm not going to talk much about number fonts because really, at the end of the day, they're just number fonts. Let me move this box out of the way. As a matter of fact, let me select the color. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it at all, so let me close this. So here we go. It shows the weather, all that jazz, the racetrack, the temperature, the winds, the same old hoopla, same old jazz. It's still the same color. I know in the NFL, the color changes based by team when they show specific team graphics and all that stuff. So there's really nothing new. If you've seen the NFL coverage, if any at all, you know what I'm talking about. And here's here's another template where the info comes into play. You have the same stuff: age, hometown, an important stat. Excuse me, and the number of years they're in Cup. They've had that for a really long time. They've had it for at least around 0405 from the Gen 2 graphics, which personally I enjoyed. Yet even though you had your bulletin, it says like Super G and all that stuff being whatever. And yes, they have the background colors. Let me get my one. You see the background color? Of course, I'm using yellow in this one. Background color. yeah, that's going to be one of my bigger gripes about these new graphic packages, and more than you think, because at least this one they got right. I know Eric Jones, that Jones boy, is in white background, but here's the catch: some of them are not the right colors, as you're going to see right here with big old Brad Keselowski. Yeah, this is a white car. Notice the box is red. I'm assuming that's because of the discount tire as this car for the 500. I imagine. I can't remember. But yeah, it's a little. It can be annoying for me. It is personally annoying because it's not the right one. It's not really difficult to change it. But again, this is just this weekend. I'm sure in the duels they'll make some changes. I hope. If not, whatever. Really not the end of the world. But at least be consistent. They gotta at least be consistent. And they're not the only network when it comes to inconsistency. They're really not the only network with that kind of problem. Alright, also, just like the good old days of TNN, you have sponsorships. Because who doesn't love sponsorships in their graphics? And this is the first, and what I like about this little doohickey thing is pretty small. It's small. It's pretty straightforward. You have your little sponsor by Ford. It kind of like what I mean by TNN is where you have like Husqvarna, Ford Quality Care, Valvoline, Caterpillar, Polaris, whatever it was. Go look up some old TNN races from like 98, 99 to 2000 to get my drift. But this time is a little bit different because they actually have this box. The Keselowski, the number, and the name on top of it. And this was on, this thing was not just a one-time thing. It was on throughout their coverage this weekend. Throughout their coverage. And I'll mention this again. I can live with that. I'm being honest. I can live with that. It's just there. It's just there. I can't really complain much about it. At least they have a general theme. Look, okay, I'll say this. NBC from 01 to 03 had all the numbers just basic, regular numbers with the background color being different, except for some in 2003 Cup, or those that don't run very often. Now, I'm sure you've noticed by now, why is there big gap? Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's why. Twitter, social media across all platforms do not like this graphic right here. This old big box. I am the worst illustrator in the world, but hey, I can get rid of it right away with a click of a button. You have your sponsorship on top. You have the race event or the title, and yes, there's no. Remember the last gen. Gone are the days where they will say, for example, caution comes out, the whole graphic changes into yellow, or when it's a red or white, they change colors. They change the background. Nope, this time the indicator is just a little dot. Just a little dot. If I time it correctly, boom. Look, that's pretty straightforward. Look at the green dot. Like if you put it on the page size 12, it matches. It aligns really well. So yeah, it's just a little dot. Just a little dot. I'm gonna call it the dot ticker. And down in the underneath the event, you have your time for practice or your round 1 or the lap indicator. And then on this side, it has 3 sections: your track position, really 4, but your track. Excuse me, there is 4. Track position, number, surname, and the speed or interval, or whether they're pitting or not. I was going to show some ARCA content on there, but whatever reason my DVR will not let me play back the ARCA race, so I have to use what I got for Cup. Here's some, and I'll mention this right away in this particular graphic right now. Like, you see where it says Kyle Busch is just KY, and then compared to Austin Dillon, there's an A and a dot. I think personally, if they're gonna put it as just a dot, they might as well put it on Kyle and Kurt while at it. And also right here, where's Jamie McMurray's name? They have that right. On some of the other last names, they don't. So for example, you have McMurray, you have that. You have Jamie McMurray. You have this right. But for example, like Corey LaJoie, this is how Corey LaJoie's look like on the graphic. When in reality, it should be the J needs to be capitalized. And then the same thing goes to Matt DiBenedetto, which for whatever reason I cannot spell right. See, it looks like this on the Fox graphic, on the Fox ticker, excuse me. When in reality, it should be a capitalized B. Minor nitpick, but I noticed that. And if you have this still on your DVR, look an eye on those names. McMurray's is right, but DiBenedetto and LaJoie, for example, are not. And this also affected the ARCA race as well. Alright, yes, same graphic. You have this stuff. It stays. It stays. That box right here. This box right here stays. It stays at all times when it's a number for the most part. What I want to focus on in this particular still image is this piece right here. Yes, this is a nice feature. I really like this feature with the mile-an-hour indicator and the steering degree. This is a nice feature. I like this feature. I personally do. This is where you can play all around with this little graphic that takes up a good chunk of the screen. That personally, it should just be only used for practice and qualifying. During the race, it'll get annoying after a while, for the taste of my eye, and I'm not the only one. I like to say, because of the last video I made about TV graphics, I think more people are aware of that kind of stuff now than they might have noticed. Also, that yellow dot, this is nothing new. They did this in 2001. Yeah, they did this in 2001, and one of the OG innovative stuff that they did. They show the little dot where the car follows the track. They've done this. It's nothing new. But I'm personally glad this little doohickey is making a comeback. And yes, underneath here you have your yellow number and white letters. Speaking of yellow numbers and white letters, that's not the first time they've done this. It was pretty common, as I'll mention on my TBS episode soon. Very soon. Okay, in this particular graphic, it shows the best lap qualifying speed, where it shows the time and the mile an hour and where they at in the bottom. It's nothing new, but again, get a look at the car. And also, you see the border where Keselowski's number, that's red, which matches the background. I think that's kind of what they're going for, if they're going by border color, but that would not make terribly much sense. But I would understand the point. Oh, and you see right over here, when they're not plugging sponsors, they're not putting telemetry, they're not doing anything in this big old gap. This big gap right here. It's just the top 10 in one table, and then underneath, as indicated in the ARCA race, it shows the top 20. So it shows at the very most 20 at a time. Yeah, we went from 3 to 5, and of course back to 3, then to the ticker on the top screen, to now 10, even 20. 20 years later, 20 years after the fact, ABC and TBS did this kind of stuff. But the problem is, and I know a lot of people are complaining about it, is you see this little border, this border, like follow me with this one. There you go. This little part, it can be bothersome, but at the same time, they might as well just cover the whole thing rather than just get rid of that little border. I think that's their logic. And I get this side is angled properly, but I think if you get rid of that, if you get rid of the ticker, I'll show you real quick. If you get rid of this ticker and with this little graphic, and stretch this little doohickey. I'm breaking it down, people. I'm breaking all this stuff down and showing some magic. I don't know if this will show up on the screen when you guys see it. I hope it does, but anyways, it's in the middle. It really is in the middle. So yeah, voila. But yeah, and like during the race, I have an idea of what it may look like, because remember in 2014 it was the same issue, a lot of the same complaints that people were having. It does take up the whole screen. ESPN News did this thing when they were trying to rebrand their image before ESPN News became just plain old ESPN, just another channel. Oh, and speaking of the first indicator of background colors not matching is this one, the Cabela's car that he drove in the Clash, which, well, I found out that Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's are united. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. There's the speed and all that crap. But yeah, if you're gonna, personally, over time, I'm sure they'll do this. But I have a good feeling why. Now that I'm thinking about it as I'm explaining all this kind of stuff. Get a little close-up of Newman's face right here. If you, this color, if the background, say, is this color, let me use my magic wand, let me pick out an obvious color. Alright. Let me see how this will look. Yeah, if you put, it's not the same color. Let me put this real quick. That failed. Yeah, I can see why they don't want to put this matching colors on of the car with the portrait, because it's going to look weird and awkward. But at the same time, personally, they got to do something to fix it just a little bit. Just a little bit. There's always room. This is my overall thought, my initial thought. There's room for improvement. A lot of people don't like it, and it's going to be a little bit problematic on aiming the right camera shot for the camera angles for the proper ticker. And this is what I mean about ads. Yeah, because we need more ads, or even promote our channel. Oops. I need a different color. Let's go for the color green. Alright, get rid of this box. Alright, this is what I mean. Here we go. Sponsor, promotion, cheap plugs, like a reminder that the Clash will be on Sunday, which has already happened. And here's an example of McMurray's background being black. It personally should be blue, but it's mostly black. They pretty much went with a predominant color. And Jamie McMurray doing Jimmy McMurray things as it happened in the Clash. Apparently that's the thing that people like to say about Jimmy Mac on plate circuits. Alright, another reason why this thing is, and their eye could be in handy, is to utilize stats and information as the race progresses. Like track description, who won the Clash, who won the 500, and all of that hoopla, boopity bloopity. All in this screen right here. And also about this particular camera shot, I really missed it. Remember back in the day, you had a camera guy panning in those shots. Now it's just done it behind the truck, and it's just moved by a machine. All right, if there's gonna be, I mentioned this with the 2006 graphics. Balance it in, and a little bit of imbalancing when it comes to graphic continuity. Of course, this is FS1. I'm sure, and I'm gonna have to keep an eye on it. I didn't really check the Fox portion, which is pretty much the only thing they showed on Fox NASCAR while it's qualifying. They still have these graphics from last time, the Denny Hamlin. This is a flashback, by the way. They have. I'm not sure if this will continue, but if you're gonna have a mixture of 3D to like 3D flashiness and all of that stuff compared to just flat 2D colors, gotta keep it consistent. But hey, it works. It works. And yeah, right here, as good old Cole Pearn, as I like to call him, Slim Shady, he's talking to Martin Truex. You know, I wonder what they're talking. Cole Pearn has been slowly becoming the new Chad Knaus in many people's minds. So yeah, this box. It says the Clash at Daytona practice. Yep, they're now mentioning the sponsorship. The Clash sounds cooler anyway, so it's like the 500, the Western 500, and all that bloopity bloopity. Yeah, this Fox Sports one. I think I had, yeah. You still have last gen's graphics on some stuff. Hey, little intermission. Double mission, Spider-Man. All right, then when practice is over, the background is not the steel blue, and as you see, they change this over time as you'll see in a bit. You have this as your graphic when it comes to results and all that. You have your car make in text, mile an hour, seconds, then your positions, top 10 only, and then the names, the yellow numbers. Which I feel, those yellow numbers look like something you see on NASCAR.com when you see race results. It just has to give me that vibe. As far as the balance of the fonts with the car number being in italics, I'll say, let me get this clear. I dig it. I personally don't mind it. It's consistent. So that means the only concern that I'll have about number fonts is just during the starting grid and the bio and all that stuff. That's pretty much it. So I don't have to worry about Clint Bohr's number font 2 years ago being inconsistent. And I'll mention this. That's how part of it was real, how I felt when I watched those races, and other is gimmicked. You gotta be dramatic. You gotta be animated in these videos. You cannot be boring. I wanted to emphasize that. This next group set of graphic right here, the Fox logo with the NASCAR stripes and all that. That's new. Instead of the big box that you saw, it says Fox NASCAR with a big ass Fox logo and a NASCAR underneath. That's gone. It's just a little tiny rectangular size graphic. It's kind of like the good old days of 2001, 2002, 2003, where they had the NASCAR and Fox logo on top during interviews and notably on the last lap. I like that term. It's pretty clean, pretty simple, and I don't mind it at all. It's polished. I'll show you. It's not like this all the time. It's not like this all the time, as I'll show you in a bit. And yes, it does change color. So yeah, red, my specialty color, because granted I do red flag videos. Speaking of red flag videos, the first one of the 1990s will be on the 16th, which I will need to work on it very soon. But I gotta get the TBS one done. Boom, read. All right, this is what I mean. When it's not the lap number or the time remaining in practice, it shows the round number 1. The biggest nitpick I have that it only shows the top 9 or top 10. It doesn't show the top 12 as it should. But I take it Fox wants to add these graphics right here, like how the teammates are faring, who's coming up and qualifying, and more commercials, more plugs. You get my drift. Like I said, they want to play around with it. They want to mess with new things. It's like trial and error, and that's pretty much how I define these new graphics. It's trial and error. There's room for improvement. Is it the best graphic I've ever seen? Absolutely not. It really is not. No, it's not the best graphics I've ever seen. Is it the most simplistic one we've seen in a long time? Absolutely, it is. See, there's more sponsorships. It's not just Chevrolet. It's Lonely Paul Menard, which he's not driving yellow. He's with the Wood Brothers. This is what they show during qualifying for the 500. Yes, earlier today. It shows the number font, the portrait, the name, little stats, and right below here. I'm not using this too effectively. It shows who's on the track, but of course you show the quick bio, so that will go away. The font, and also red means you're slower than the pulsar. Green means you're good. Benny Parsons was a pro at explaining that all the time and emphasized it to a T. Also, something that is back and I really enjoy is this right here. This little arrow. It indicates where they are compared to the field. It's like the days of ESPN did this, and Speed Channel had that. Except with Speed Channel, you had this thing with the car number following, like switching back and forth, depending how fast they are. Right here, it just goes up, down, up, down. No, I'm not plugging that channel, even though it sounds intentional, which I'm not. Anyways, you have this, you have that hoopla showing who's the onboard instead of showing that little box that appears every now and then. You'll have that instead. But yeah, I like this feature. I really do. It's kind of like it's fun keeping track of that stuff. And yes, it's green because blah. All right, now this is when it comes to results, it's the same thing as I showed you earlier. But when it comes to the starting grid that they showed after qualifying, oh, you look at that. It's no longer white. It actually matches the color. Meanwhile, Brad Keselowski's on the other hand is still red. Again, they'll probably fix it at the time of the duel. Some of them don't even have the right color in the background. And this is the only instance that I've seen thus far, besides the little template where it showed the names and all that. That's the little main graphic of the driver. They have the manufacturers. You have the box where it shows the rows, inside, outside. There's no need to mention and there's really no point of indicating who's on the inside, who's on the outside, because it's pretty simple. You look left to right, so on and so forth, top to bottom. Brendan Gaughan, by the way, notice something? He's got no sponsorships, no uniform. They probably added it. Yeah, he drove the Rolex 24, by the way. And one last thing is right here, the logo. Personally, you really don't need a bad. You can get rid of that white box. All right, this is what I was talking about with the Fox logo. When you come back to break, they show the full NASCAR logo before going in. All right, here we go. Here it shows the full thing before the NASCAR logo disappears, the NASCAR text disappears, and it just looks like this. Like I said, it's a nice little nitpick feature. Starting grid is practically the same, nothing new. The 3D animation, flashing the stuff is gone, so it's just flat. You have the theme, the background color, based on the sponsor or the paint or the livery. There's nothing special, no upgrades really on that. Right here, it's a change of color. You have the weather, air temp, track temp, winds, mostly sunny. Of course, that was a nice day at Daytona. Usually the day races in the class in the recent record, when they were actually day races, it was a mixed bag of cloudy conditions. But this is an upgrade. This is a little bit of an improvement compared to the opening practice. I'm having way too much fun with the magic color. But yeah, it says the Clash at Daytona. Personally, they just named the damn sponsor. But again, the Clash sounds better. But imagine people looking at social media. I'm pretty sure it's happened many times. Listen, the Clash at Daytona. Wait! I thought the Clash was disbanded. I thought the frontman of the Clash is dead. No, that's the short name of the Advanced Auto Parts Clash, or as I like to say sometimes, the Busch Clash. Oh, well, you look at that camera shot. I guess they probably fell asleep in this one. They fixed it, of course. This can be a little bit bothersome, and I feel like it's not really a big deal because it really is not. It's sometimes when there's colors conflicting with one another, like the Sunoco logo, and then the white text with the FS1. Sometimes I feel like they could use a little bit more of a black border and make the live thing a little bit more darker. So there's really no clashing. And when it comes to sunny conditions, I don't think Fox wants to waste their time messing around with all that garbage. Anyways, here we go. This is what I was talking about. When it comes to the race, for this particular race, the Clash, there was only 17. You could fit everybody there. There's only one page of graphics, really. In the IROC race, and also throughout the season, you'll have 20, and then roll the page, it'll be 21 to 40. So there's really 2 pages worth of graphics. It shows the top 10 most of the time. And yeah, this is when I print screened this, that happened. The flip-flop positions. That's the nature of restrictor plate racing. When I talk about the TBS video, I mentioned that little tidbit where the names switch and flip-flop, because TBS did something unique that wasn't seen on NASCAR at the time. Now it's super normal. But in 2000, in particular, a little minor spoiler alert, the little revolutionary moment that happened. The Fox Trax is still around. It's just much smaller. It's a little rectangular. Shows the position, number font, name, just the last name. The little tiny slim rectangular based on the color of Logano's car, and the speed. Look how it looks pretty balanced. I like this feature. It's a nice touch. They really don't need to show intervals anymore, or where they at, or all of that stuff compared. When you look at this and look back to 2001, a lot has changed. So the need of intervals. My question is, when it comes to restarts or close battle, will they show for example, let me put this right here. Going back to the typing. Say 25 yards. Like, they're 25 yards. No, 25 yards. 25 feet apart from each other. Well, I'm curious if we're going to see that on it. Fox. I know NBC does that. I think Fox did. I can't remember from the top of my head. Only problem is the cameras need to pan up a little bit. It needs to tilt up a little bit. Go up a little bit. Because of some shots, it seems like there's a little bit of a lead room concerns. Like, you see, like, here's the gap between the Fox tracks to the end of the screen. It's pushing that boundary of the lead room. And more cheap promotional plugs. Hey, you gotta remind them. You gotta remind them 24/7 when the 500 is or when the duel is. This is nothing new again. This is nothing new, but this is the first time they're gonna heavily enforce it. Question is, how much longer? Now, the moment of truth. Because this is only the clash or the shootout, the sprint unlimited, or whatever you want to call it. It shows this. The duels have that, but in the 2014 Daytona 500, they slimmed it down. Here's kind of how I think it will look like. Right here, it's the same. You show the logo, the event, the lap, and only the top 5. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this little edit that I made. Just only showing the top 5, and I got rid of the gray stuff and all that because it's not really necessary. It looks clean. It looks aligned. And like I said, the flat 2D graphic ticker, whatever you want to call it, the pizza, the screen that takes up 1/5, 20% of the screen. Wow, you can name it whatever you want. Tell me what you think with that. It kind of reminds me of when ESPN and ABC at 98 shows the top 5, kind of like that big, not by much. And yes, one thing I didn't mention on the Fox video is when they go 200 miles an hour, it turns red. It's a little red. Ooh, 200 miles an hour. Wicked fast. Wicked fast. I got nothing to say. This is me recording this wrong with horrible audio. I apologize once again. Okay, here is my biggest gripe about this little graphic. It's when they have to pan out and show the sponsorship. Look, can you imagine if, with the exception of side by side, or as like the Japanese say, saibaro, saibaro. I think that's what it means, side by side. I have no idea, and I apologize in advance. Oh, before we get to that, sometimes the event name will not appear. It shows the location. Daytona Beach, Florida. I like it. I don't mind it. It's a nice touch. It gives us a reminder. It's like, I wonder where Daytona is. Oh, Daytona Beach, Florida. I wonder where ISM Raceway is. Oh, it's in Avondale, Arizona. Good stuff, good stuff. I don't like this little clutter, but I know they did this. This was the same issue with the old graphics as well. Is it takes up the large chunk, especially a couple seconds later. This is how it actually looked like. I almost knocked out one of my plaques. Yeah, black box. There's no unique, ordinary colors. It's just like this. That could be wicked, awkward, bizarre, and problematic. Oh, in case if you're wondering, like I mentioned, how does the graphic change on winners' cautions? Yes. Does it change? Does the gray become yellow or red or green or white? No. It's just a dot. It's just a dot that changes to yellow. It's like a little pop. Just a little pop. Okay. As McMurray's demise of the race unfolded, sometimes they show the lap to go indicator right here on the right and the lap number on the left. I think they should do that more often. They should just have that a little bit more often. It makes the fans understand. When it says 42, it's 34 instead of 30. So in other words, they're working on lap 34. They've completed 33 laps. And when I do the red flag videos, I use the lap indicator that they're working on, not the laps completed. That's how I do this. And as far as the 1990s, I don't think I'm going to include the lap that the race will stop. I'm going back how I originally started to show the lap that the event unfolded or transpired. Instead, because when it comes to 90s, especially early 90s, they didn't show lap number. You have to hear it, and when it takes me 6 hours or so to put it together, I don't have time for that. Otherwise, it would take about 8 to 9 to find it. And it shows a little box with the second caution, Goodyear on the side. I think that's how it may look like. Like I show you right here. This is kind of how I envision it will look like come to Daytona 500. If not, then we'll see how many more people will complain, or even turn their TV off. Another feature that I really like that I think they should do a little bit more often or continue doing is show the identification of the crew chief and spotter. Because of course, radioactive is their bread and butter on Tuesdays. I praise the Lord they don't fuck it up. I apologize, like they did at Homestead. I don't want to see that dank garbage from the Homestead one with the Daytona stuff or onwards. I hope that was just an experiment, and hopefully just an experiment. And when the race is really nothing else to say, when the race is over, they show that little checker box, and then it's just the little white dot that doesn't change at all. And unofficial results, we didn't get that, but like I said, with this graphic, I think that's what's going to look like when they scroll down the bottom. We'll see it come the duels or the Daytona 500, how that will look. A couple more graphics ago, we'll show you how the race winner temp graphic will looks like. It just shows the number, it doesn't show the face because, well, you're seeing Brad's face. And look behind her. Just look behind her. Just look. Give it a good few more seconds. Oh. Alright, and then second, third, fourth, the same old thing. Nothing new. It's what you always see in a graphic. And when it comes to laps behind or all that, it's right here. I'm showing you the back and a little tidbit about the Toyotas. No Toyota finished in the top 5. Not one Toyota finished in the top 5. Denny Hamlin led 8 laps. Those are the only laps Toyota led that entire clash. And going back to this one last time, when it's not the margin, they will say pit when they're pitting or they're out of the race. I like that idea because you don't. Sometimes what NBC did in 01 to 03 is when the driver pits, the text, the surname text changes from white to yellow, notifying the fans that they're pitting. In Formula 1 from 94 to 03, when it showed the classification order, I think if I remember, the yellow box where they're at on the track changes from yellow to white. And it also says in the text, pit. That means they're pitting. When I saw the ARCA race, it said the same thing where, like, for example, Jesse Iwuji, or Jesse Iwuhi, it said pit. They're pitting. And if it's when they're out of the race or out of the race, it's lowercase instead of what? CBS 1998, where it was all caps. Good stuff. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts. What is my early rating? I'm personally gonna give it a Bret Hart. No, I'm not giving it a Bret Hart rating. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 10. I give it a 5 out of 10. Where do I put this? It's much cleaner, it's much simpler, it's easy to follow, it's not distracting, it's not an eyesore, and it gets the job done. It gives them some chance to utilize all their stuff. My biggest criticism is just it takes up a good chunk of the screen. I don't really, not digging it when it's during the race. When it's practice and qualifying, fine, whatever. But they gotta find but if that's what they're going with and they're really gonna stick with it, they're going to have to be strong about it and just deal with it. Because the fans are going to be complaining about it. They're going to continue complaining about it. They're probably going to tweet it to Mike Joy, only for Mike Joy to respond that they're working. They do their damnness to put a lot of stuff in one graphic. And I think that's their approach. Personally, I like to see kind of like this. It looks a little bit more cleaner. And if they want to do like a Napa Field summary style, then you can have that for a little bit, show where all of them are, and a reminder of your events, and all that jazz. But Nothing fancy, simple, plain vanilla like I mentioned in the videos, like the NFL. Over time, it could grow on me. We'll see. Anyways, that will do it for here. Let me know what you think. But until we meet again, I'll catch you all later.